Uprisers, hi, it is Trisha LaCroix once again with Sacred Uprising Institute and Conference. We are awakening infinite love that is your birthright. It is what you're made of. It is who you are. And we have Dr. Lisa that is coming on to talk about divine love. So just waiting for her to jump on here before she shares this with everybody. Wanted to once again remind everybody, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Sacred Uprising. Just look for the peony. And you can find in different folders based on our wisdom keepers, different wisdom that you can watch live on video. So for Dr. Lisa, you can look for her folder, and you can go and watch all her videos. If you want to watch Bliss and go through the Conscious Evolver, go check that out. We have Lori Green, who has talked about From Tradition to Truth. Go check her out, and so many others. So don't miss out on that. In addition, we have our conference that is coming up, and it is 18th, 19th, and 20th. It is right outside of Santa Cruz, California, and it's at Mount Madonna. Hi, how are you, Lisa? And we have, it's rustic, so it's not a conference where you need to get dressed up. You can just be you, not have to worry about the fluff, not have to worry about the, looking great and, who's wearing the better outfit. It is rustic. It is, there's different cabins, there's dormitories. The food is all vegetarian. I've got to be honest with you. I will miss my Reese's peanut butter cups and my Red Bulls while I'm there because it is all vegetarian. But it's a great venue for us to go and share and learn. And as Bliss shared with us earlier, she's been given the understanding that we will be exchanging codes and upgrading ourselves while we're there. And I've also gotten that information from some other people as well. So this Sacred Uprising is about infinite love. And when I saw that your title was that you wanted to talk about, Lisa, was divine love, infinite love, divine love, it's all the same. I was excited because that is truly the core of what Sacred Uprising is. So I had posted, ironically, on Facebook today, and it says, if you to want to transform the world without the flame of love is impossible. Only love can truly transform the world. So and I posted that not even realizing that was the discussion that we were going to have today.
That's awesome. That's a synchronicity.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'm finding that that's been happening. In fact, when you were talking about divine love, I had told you we had just talked about some aspects of that on the last video. And even what Bliss had talked about, it's something that is going to be in another topic that somebody said that they want to talk about. So it's amazing how we're all syncing up and the wisdom, the voice of source is being heard because it's all the same and we're all talking about things. Different voices, different ways of articulating the wisdom, but it's all the same.
Yeah, it's really this is one of my favorite topics to delve into, for a number of reasons. But thank you. I don't know how to say your name. It's like Hafun for we look like goddesses, she says. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
But this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because. I think as many people, I didn't grow up with an understanding of what love really was. I had ideas about what love was. I had concepts, but it was all very, what I would consider lower level, and not something that really, it didn't make sense to me, to be very honest with you, because the environment that I grew up in was relatively toxic, and I was always confused by, how is this love? Like, this doesn't feel like whatever I think love is supposed to be. Even as a child, I'd be like, this feels weird. Like, this seems off. And so I really, in my adult life, went on a path of understanding what love really is. And it led me to finding divine love. And the way that I define divine love is literally love that is sourced from source, from God, from spirit, whatever, how I conceptualize that. the construct of love that we have in our world and our society today is literally about, when we think about love, it's most often connected to another person, right? They're like,
Right. That's right.
object of my affection is
Mhm.
how it's, a lot of people would say it, and it's like, but that means that they're, you're objectifying them, then they become a tool in your arsenal, as opposed to what love really is, which is not dependent on the presence of another person. It ought not.
Right. Yeah.
So divine.
Yeah, in fact, love, I think so many of us, and I have in the past, because like you, growing up, I didn't understand. Love was a word. It was not an action. It wasn't a flow. It wasn't something that surrounded me. It was actually something that punished me. You know, that's how, what I learned that love was. But going through this spiritual journey, I have learned it. But in the beginning, it was where love, it was what satisfied me, what fulfilled me, what you could do for me. Now, rather from the new standpoint of, there doesn't need to be any, there, you are not required to do anything other than to be you.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And that's what love is now.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That you understand that even when you see somebody's flaws, even when you see their foibles, their mistakes, their dark side, that you can still be in a space of love, of this really being able to love somebody, even when they are not behaving in the most lovable way. And that is what divine love is, because it's not contingent upon the other person. It's not contingent upon whether they're behaving in ways that you think that they ought to behave. It's literally about letting the divine in you see the divine in them and loving them.
Right.
Now,
Right, exactly.
right. It doesn't mean, I get a lot of this because I do a lot of work with people in relationships. A lot of people think that being in a space of unconditional love means that you, or a divine love, that you just kind of take anything, you accept anything, you put up with anything. And that is not what we're talking about here at all. Unconditional love doesn't mean unconditional relationship. And I think that's an important distinction to make, that if somebody is being behaving in ways that are not in alignment, or not, that aren't, they're not treating you well, or they're not being appropriate, it doesn't mean that you stay in that connection in the same way. The connection may have to transform, but the love doesn't change.
Right, exactly. You can love somebody from afar. You can completely do that. And there's been, you know, part of the spiritual journey and calling in the one was about detachment. I had to detach from people that I clearly, deep within my soul, I loved, but I had to detach from them. It doesn't mean that the love changed, because the love is still there, but I can't have them. There were boundaries that were crossed. We had to separate, and that is perfectly fine. So you have to, if somebody really wants to be within that divine love with you, they will honor your boundaries. They will treat you how you should be treated, but they will also respect themselves and do the things that they need to do to keep you both in alignment. It takes work on both sides.
Absolutely. And that's why it's a journey. That's why it's not like you wake up one day and you're suddenly just like, I mean, maybe some people do, but for most of us, it's a journey. It's about learning how to ascend that experience, learning how to be able to hold those two seemingly dual perspectives of unconditional love and boundaries, because they do actually work together really well. Because divine love is really, the way I see it, is first about having a love connection with the divine, and then secondly, it's about having a love connection with the self. So
Right.
I love somebody really well if I'm not full of my own self-love. And I don't mean that in a selfish way, or the self-centered,
Ego.
about like
Yeah.
the daily actions of self-love, eating properly, exercising, meditating, taking care of myself, saying no to things that no longer serve me. That's the kind of self-love that I'm talking about. A deep appreciation for our human experience, along with understanding that we are divine beings.
Well, and you know, divine love for yourself is seeing your shadow side and loving it, understanding that, seeing the strides that you have made that nobody else has seen, seeing the unkind words or the negative words you didn't say. It's seeing you in your full totality and going, I still like who I am. And some days that's harder than others. But at the core, I know without a doubt, at the core of who I am, the essence of who I am, it is love, and it's divine love. Now, it's me connecting to it on a daily basis.
Right.
But by no right, and there's now I'm not going to associate or be with people that don't see that within me as well. I recently had to eliminate, and it was hurtful, but I had to eliminate a family member from my life. And it's not that I don't love that family member, it's that it was really toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't see the divine within me, and they're not treating, and all of it comes from a lack of self-love they have for themselves. So when you don't love yourself, you can't tap into that divine love and give it to others.
Right.
And it becomes unequally balanced, right? Or unequally yoked, as if we want to quote scripture. It isn't. You both have to have divine love for yourselves.
Right. Absolutely. And that's why I said, like, why we were talking when I said it's a journey, because it is that journey of unlearning what we were taught about love, and learning that are worthy of love. I mean, I remember going to church when I was, gosh, it was like 2021 or something. And the church that I attended at the time had this big sign outside that was like, "Sinners welcome here." And I was like, "Ooh, cool, a place for me," you know? And it was like, because that was how I felt. I felt like I was damaged, like I was broken, like I was unworthy. And over time, that message stopped resonating with me, because I was like, I'm not, that's not the truth of who I am. That's not the totality of who I am. And so as I was able to connect with that divinity within, I was able to shed those old beliefs. And as I felt worthy, you know, as I began to love myself more and appreciate myself and invest in myself more, it has become much easier to give that love freely and unconditionally in the world, because that is what we're supposed to do. I really feel that operating from a space of divine love is how we transform ourselves primarily, and then how we go out and transform the world. I don't believe that divine love is about all of the, you know, heart emojis and, you know, all of that. Like, I don't feel like it's necessarily about happy ever after, or happily ever after. I don't necessarily,
regardless, you know.
It's not this fairy tale. It's about doing this deep work, this deep transformational work within, so that you can then go out and do deep transformational work in the world. And hopefully you can have a divine partner that you can do that with, that your mission is aligned, and that you, like what you and Charles have, where you're on the same page, your mission is aligned, you get it, you have the same vision for how you want to contribute to healing the world. But it's not just about the sex, it's not just about the intimacy. That is a part of it, or it can be a part of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be. It can be. But it's literally about allowing the divine to come inside of you. And that sounds like such a double entendre, right?
You and Courtney Walsh are the only two that would have ever said that.
Well, I was like, well, I came out wrong. Well, metaphorically speaking.
Right.
That you allow the divine to come in and literally like renovate your soul from the ground up, where it's like, the way that I felt about, like, when I was going through my own transformational process, I felt like I was a garden just being pruned, where like the weeds are being pulled out, and oh, this limiting belief doesn't work anymore, and this behavior, and this, and it was just all of this like pruning and uprooting in order to plant seeds for a garden, again, metaphorically speaking, that was sourced out of divinity, out of love, out of abundance, out of prosperity, all of those things, but you know, uprooting seeds of unworthiness, of self-deprecation, and all of the ways in which we perpetuate our own abuse towards ourselves.
Right. Yes. And not loving ourselves, I think, is just, it is an assault on our soul. It's an assault on our spirit when we don't love ourselves. It's abusive. And when we don't protect that inner child within that deserves that love and warrants that love, and it's its birthright to have that love, then we don't know how to I don't want to say protect ourselves, but also create boundaries for others that don't do that to it. Now, when I went through my year and a half not dating, I went through that because the last person that I dated before had just ripped me apart. It was like I had to rebuild. But by rebuilding, I rebuilt from the foundation of love. Were there times that I went backwards? Absolutely. That's why it took me a freaking year and a half. So, but I was able to recreate within me saying, you know what? Love is my middle name. Love is the core of who I am. It is the DNA that runs through my spine. I am love. And I wanted to draw that in. And to draw that in, I needed to connect, like Candace and I talked about, with the beloved, to connect with that, to have that direct connection that I became what love was, so I could draw that to me. Absolutely. And that is how the abundance of the universe flows. That's what Kabbalah teaches. That's just like what my post today. If you want to change the world, you have to do it from a vibration of divine infinite love. If you want to radically change your life, it is from the essence of divine infinite love. And it is what the universe is created of. It is the only language the universe understands. Everything else is fear, and it tears the love within the universe. That's all that fear is. It is and the only way to heal it is not through more fear, but through more love. You have to bridge the tears within love.
Right, absolutely. And divine love is literally about getting into a space of so stepping out of a space of judgment. Okay, so regardless of what's happening around you, how people are behaving, what they're doing or not doing, it's getting out of the space of judgment and trying to, as my friend Demetra said, it's not about trying to make somebody else wrong. It's about getting into a space where you literally seek to understand, where you're like, I want to understand what's happening here. And because if I understand, I can come from a space of compassion. Where if I'm not understanding, if I don't seek to understand, then I'm going to, more than likely, most of us would go into that space of judgment and criticism and condemnation. And then you accept it. You accept that, this person, whatever has happened, if it's another person that you're talking about or yourself, because it's the same thing. It's like, going within and understanding. So it's like I had to understand certain things that happened that, resulted in certain stories that I was living out. And then I had to accept that that happened and those were circumstances, and extend compassion to myself. Like, I didn't know better. When I knew better, I did better. And then forgive me. That is probably the most powerful aspect of divine love that I would want to even touch on, is this unconditional, all the time forgiveness. I kid you not, every day when I wake up, part of my routine in the morning is I meditate, listen to mantras, I do certain things. But one of the things that I do is I will do a check-in with myself. Is there anybody that I feel any kind of resentment toward? Is there anybody that I feel something lingering? And I will do forgiveness affirmations. So I'll literally sit here, probably 100 times a day, just going through, like, wanting to make sure that I'm forgiving me, that I'm forgiving others, that because that is what the divine does. The divine doesn't keep an accounting of wrongs. The divine doesn't hold us. That's why I have such difficulty with the idea of hell, because I'm like, that doesn't feel like divine love to me. But that is something that's another video. But
you know what? But I do think that is relevant, though. Is because, we've learned, from the time that we were young, we went to church and we were taught, there's love. And then if you don't do what love commands you to do, then you're going to hell. There wasn't infinite love in that story. There's no infinite love. I'm sorry. Just like the book by Rob Bell, Love Wins. He says, so what? God loves you so much. Your whole life, God is pursuing you and begging you and asking you to come to him. But the moment you die, and if you haven't said a prayer, you're going to hell. He goes, really? That's infinite love? And I got to agree with that. That is how that story that we were given when we were young was also a reflection of a story that I laid out for myself, going, I love myself when I'm really, really good, but when I do something wrong, then I'm terrible and I'm a sinner and I don't like myself anymore. And self-loathing and hatred sprouted from that. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't believe in a hell.
Right.
I don't believe in it. I believe in biblically that the fire that they talk about is a purification process. That's what Judaism teaches as well. There is no hell. That's what they teach as well. So I believe that is part of the story of getting to divine love, realizing that regardless, all the divine wants to do is embrace us. All the divine sees within us is love, that we are of the divine. We are aspects of the divine. And the divine has so much love. It doesn't know negative. It doesn't know anything but love. So how could it literally throw them in hell because it didn't do exactly what it wanted?
Right. That's not love. That's control. And love.
That's control. Yeah.
That's the thing, is that because we have these ideas around how we're socialized to view love, we view love as, really, I would say it's controlling. You make a commitment if you get married, and then it's like till death do us part. And it's like, well, sometimes people change and things evolve, and you have to have some space in that. And sometimes to me, divine love is freedom. Divine love is freedom.
Yeah.
Allowing people, it's allowing ourselves to have the space to choose our own path and to surrender that path to the divine, to let, it's like, I really feel it's like, I say this all the time. It's like doing a trust fall into the arms of the universe, where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea how this situation is going to play out. But I do know that it's never about the grasping. It's never about the clinging. It's always about holding loosely. It's this, this energy of being, if you go to the beach and you grab a handful of sand and you squeeze it really tightly, it just falls through your fingers. But if you hold it like this, it'll stay there. And that's how I see divine love. Divine love is never about grasping and clinging and that energy. It's about giving the space and freedom for individuals to choose their own path, even if that path takes them away from you. I learned so much about divine love, and it really was part of my spiritual transformation when I became a mother, because I was sitting here and I was thinking, I was still going to church at that time, and there was all this, like, the talk about hell and punishment and all this stuff, and I was sitting here looking at this precious little child, and I'm thinking, I don't care what this kid does. I would never reject them and turn them away from me, ever. Like, I don't care what they did. I would still be there with love. Not to say that it wouldn't be painful, not to say that I wouldn't have, feelings if they did something really awful, but would I ever turn them away and reject them, much less for all of eternity, and send them to suffer? No way. Right. That I really started to question the religious dogma. I thought, I don't feel like this is divine love. I felt, and when I started to really connect with divine love on my own, I began to really understand it. It was a complete paradigm shift, and it has shifted literally everything about how I live my life. It's shifted, especially probably in the last year and a half, has been very, very much, maybe more like year, has been very, very transformational in that sense of really fully opening to receive that divine love and understanding to a core, to like a cellular DNA level, my own worthiness, my own divinity, and then being able to offer that out to others.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'd like to touch on this as well, is that when we're talking about somebody else, part of this divine love, we're talking about relationships, and I'm not just talking, we're talking about all different, whether it's with your child or a family member or a friend or a beloved or whatever it may be. But with the understanding of how the universe works, this is how divine love works, is that there is no give and take. There is no give and take. So if you're in a situation where somebody stepped in a way of your blessing? What if somebody stole from you? If somebody didn't pay a bill to you? If somebody didn't give the love that you were supposed to receive, or what they committed to give to you, whatever that may be, what you didn't receive, that those things are put into, we'll call it a savings account in heaven or in the universe. So it will find a way to give it to you in another way. So that's where, and there's always interest on it.
Right.
Okay. So keep in mind, there's always interest on it. So when somebody does not give you the love, or the whatever it may be, give you what you feel that you were supposed to have, and we all have those feelings, and that's okay. Understand, you can forgive them because they actually gave you a blessing, because now that's put in the universe and it will come to you in a different, more fulfilling way. So it's an easy way to forgive and go, thank you for what you did.
Right.
Because now I'm going to receive it in a more abundant way.
Right. Well, it's interesting because as you were saying that, what I was thinking of was that scripture, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like, there are things, that wrongdoings and things that have happened in my own life that I'm like, well, you know, maybe that unforgiveness, you know, was holding. And then I realized that releasing that and moving into that divine love space, it opened up so many more opportunities and so many doors. And so it's like when something happens and somebody commits a wrongdoing or creates harm in some way, I've gotten really good about being like, you know what, this is between you and God. This is between you and the divine. And, you know, your karma is your karma, and that's going to have to, you know, that's going to be worked out. Now mine is just turning my expectation over to the divine and being like, look, you know that this is what happened, so I'm trusting in you to make it right. And what's been like crazy about that, and when I talk about this with my clients and people I work with all the time, it's like getting into that space has literally just opened things up where it's like I just see like so much abundance and so many doors opening and so many things happening. And I'm like, I know that it's directly connected to having released the past and released the pain and not wanting to hold people hostage for their behaviors, but learning to release with love, you know, because like we're talking about, you don't necessarily, just because you love somebody doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in intimate relationship with them.
Right.
That's not something that, you know, has to happen. And understanding that, again, it's that holding loosely. It's about saying like, you know, this is what it is, but it opens up so many more blessings and so much more abundance to come in. And it's like, create that vacuum in your life, right? Create that space in your life for the divine to come like whooshing in with the blessings that are rightfully yours.
Right.
And that,
yes. I love the hold on loosely. And it's something that I've found with Charles in my past relationships. I was always asked, where are you going? When are you coming back? Even things like that. And I couldn't stand it because I'm like, oh my God, I'm coming home to you. What is your problem? Why do you need to know all this? But what I found with him, mind you, it's always different levels. So the lowest level is, he never asks me, when are you going to be back, or where exactly you're going. I don't ask him either. I know he's coming back. I don't care. He's coming back. But it also goes deeper into where it is also our trust with one another. It's also where, you know, how we interact with each other. It is always holding on loosely, but knowing I don't even need to hold on because he's here. He's here. He's in my universe. I don't have to hold on. There is no holding on. There's just embracing and going, I love this life. And there's more love and freedom. When you try to restrict divine love, and you can't restrict it, but when you try to restrict it into a box, isolate it in a box, you're containing it. You're not allowing it to flow. And the more loosely you hang on, the more loosely you hold it, it's just going to flow. It is going to grow. It is going to expand.
right. And I think part of what you're saying is because it requires a surrender. Getting into that space,
it does.
Trusting requires surrender. It requires not just surrender to. It's like it's a multi-level surrendering. It's first of all surrendering to the divine. It's sitting in that space of receptivity, of that really feminine energy, of trusting that what is meant for you is meant for you, and that it's going to come to you if it's supposed to come to you. And if it's not this particular situation, then it's going to be another one. So there's that surrender. Then there's the surrender to trusting the integrity and the higher consciousness and the divine in your in the other people with whom you're in relationship. And then the trusting yourself, that it's like, trust yourself that no matter what happens, that you have the strength and the resilience and the skill set to manage and get through any situation that comes your way. And so it's all of this constant surrender, and surrendering expectations, surrendering all of these lower level, what I call lower level energies, and going into this again, that trust fall into the divine. Like, I just trust that this is going to work out however it's meant to work out. And that's a really powerful place to be in. I'm reminded of this movie. It was called Fools Rush In, with Selma Hayek and Matthew Perry. And they engage in this connection. There comes a point where she's talking with her grandmother, and her grandmother says, "You will never know love until you surrender to it." And that quote, it gives me, I actually just got goosebumps all over my body, like remembering that, because it's such a powerful thing, that divine love really truly requires complete and total surrender.
Surrender. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like it. And when you trust fall into it, it'll always catch you, but it'll also raise you up farther than you ever thought that you'd go.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing how that works. Again, it's like, it feels paradoxical that, oh, I let go. The more I let go, the more things work out. The more I, practice non-attachment, the more connected I feel. It's just this interesting contrast in what we think, is we've been, again, socialized, and we've been taught that this is what love looks like. This is what divine, not even divine love, this is what love looks like. And it's all mostly about, follow the rules, women, and you're going to get the perfect guy. And guys, this is how you hook a woman. And so it's all, a lot of it is based on manipulation and games and disingenuous behavior and dishonesty and all of these things. And rising into divine love, you understand that love is not manipulative. If somebody is engaging with another person in a way that is manipulative, or that is subverting their free will, that's not love.
Right.
Understanding that love, truly divine love, is all about just allowing what is present to be present, with learning to suspend judgment, working to get into a space of understanding, so that you can move into a space of accepting, and then moving into the space of forgiving and releasing. It's like, that's how it's supposed to work in my world,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know how I know that I'm loved? I get to be myself. That's how I know I'm loved.
Right.
And he makes space for me to be me.
Right.
And he loves it, and he doesn't hide me. Those are the two ways that I truly know that I'm loved and I am comfortable. And that's why I don't feel like I have to hold on to anything. It's why I feel like I can surrender to it, because nobody's trying to change me. I don't feel like I have to keep catching up to be what that person wants me to be, or I have to be good enough. So, oh, please, will you post that we're in a relationship on Facebook? I don't have to do anything.
Right.
Like, I don't have to do any of that. I can just exist. And that is enough.
Right.
And I have never been, and that's still divine love. If Charles can love me like that, think how much greater the master of the universe can love me. So I just have to be myself.
Right.
Scars, shadow self, all of it. Right. Just be myself. Messy hair in the morning, all of that. It
right.
doesn't matter.
Right.
Just be me, and it is enough.
Right. And yes, absolutely. And I think it's important to acknowledge that getting to that space takes work, because
it does.
Because you are, I hope this comes across right, because you're easy to love, because you have done your work, you've done your healing, you have gone to, you've plumbed the depths of your soul, and you've uprooted all the stuff that was lower level and doesn't serve you. And so that is, what I'm trying to say is that is wonderful, and I love that. And I want to also say that on the other hand, it's like loving someone, you can love someone just as they are, where they are, and call them higher. And
Yes.
that's in different situations. So it's like if somebody, again, or myself, if I'm not being the best version of myself, like I'll just talk about me. If I'm not being the best version of myself and I'm seeing things about me that I'm like, wow, that could use some work. It's totally accepting that, okay, this needs some work. This is an issue,
Right.
area that needs to be addressed. And it's not from a space of, you're such a failure and such an F up. It's none of that. It's literally like, okay, self, wow, you just saw something in there that's not really something that you want to continue with in your life. So it's time to like clean that up. But it's always from a space, again, it's always the space of love. It's like self-correct, accountability, all of those things always have to come from a space of love. And if it comes from a space of love, then it's a different energy than, you're a failure, you're a fuck up, nobody could ever love you because you're such a mess or anything. And that's just gross.
Right.
Cringe
Right.
say that. Um,
Yeah, I agree with you.
it's super important for whoever's watching to understand that it's about doing our own work.
Right.
Go within and do that healing. Let that divine love wash over you. There's nothing like it. There is nothing like having that experience of feeling like you're seeing like the divine face to face, and just the exquisiteness of feeling the bliss of love. It's so amazing.
So let me touch on that. So I channel, and I've been very blessed to channel angels, and then it's ascended masters, and it's been within the last year, I should say 6 months really, channeling source. And so that being said, I want to explain to people what that feels like when you are standing and source has come into a room so strongly you can actually feel the totality of what source is. It is wholeness. That is the best, the only, in my mere human language, that is the best way I can describe it. It is wholeness and love, which is woven together. Wholeness is love and love is wholeness. It's the same. And when source comes into, when you are in source's presence, in the Bible, it talks about, when you stand before God, you're going to fall to your knees. And the way that it was preached to me was that because you're so full of sin, you can't stand in his presence. But I got to tell you, that's not the case at all. The reason why you don't stand in his presence is because the wholeness is so overwhelming in your body, you can't even stand. I have fallen to my knees on the ground weeping, not because I feel like a sinner, but because I am whole. That is divine love. That regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your past or your present, regardless of your shadow side, regardless of what we consider sin or wrongdoings, regardless of how good you try or how you strive to be a better version of yourself, the moment you are in divine love, you are whole. Don't forget that you are whole. And the thing is that there is no difference between us and our human body and wholeness other than what we believe for ourselves,
Right.
what we tell ourselves, the stories, the things that people tell us are our stories. It is sacred uprising is remembering who you were before all the stories and the labels that people gave you. The sacred uprising is about infinite love. It is about divine love. It is remembering. It is the core of who you are. It is within your spine where your DNA runs. You are whole. And that is what divine love is, being whole in and of yourself, that nothing that anybody that around you or surrounds you can do for you to make you feel more whole. You are whole without their confirmations, without their validations, without their gifts, without their telling you how beautiful you are or how handsome or sexy you are. It doesn't matter. You are whole in and of yourself. And that is what it feels like to be in the presence of the Creator, is wholeness. And that is why this is so important. Divine love, infinite love. It is wholeness. It is who you are. What you are searching for is already within you. Stop searching. It's already right here. It's in you. Anything that you can desire, you're desiring it because it is within you, and you have not opened the doors within your heart to find it yourself. It's not through anybody else. It's here.
Yeah. As you were speaking, I was reminded of, and this keeps coming up, so maybe I need to, I don't sit with that a little bit more, is back in the Old Testament in the Bible, the going into the Holy of Holies, what they would talk about is that when you got into the Holy of Holies, that there was this, like, there's this presence that was circling, and it was
Yep.
called Shekinah. And Shekinah, I think that's a
Yep.
Hebrew, and what it translates to in English is nothing missing, nothing broken. And that is what this divine is all about. It's nothing missing, nothing broken. And when you understand that, as you're saying, from within, right, that I source my love from here,
Yes.
here, it's like why I take a salt bath almost every day and meditate is because I understand that as long as I'm sourced from here and it comes down through here, that it's just an overflow and it comes through to the rest of the world, or to the rest of the people with whom I have contact. But it's understanding that there's nothing missing, there's nothing broken, there's nothing that you can do to improve that's going to make God or the divine love you anymore.
Right.
You can't earn divine love.
No, and you don't need to. It's your birthright. It's who you are. You're already whole.
Right.
You're already whole.
Separation is an illusion that we create. We have this idea that God is outside of us, and when I began to really understand that God's source was within, that changed my entire life. It changed how everything. It was like I don't need to go elsewhere. I don't need to be in a relationship or have a partner or whatever. Although that would be nice. And you saw on Instagram that I put my declaration out to the universe, but it's like that's an added bonus. That's an added bonus. The point is, and I always say this to my clients, that if all you're focused on is finding another person with whom you can have this divine love connection, you're missing the whole point. That would be like going to a steakhouse only thinking about the dessert. That's backwards. How I view partnership, divine love, divine partnership is literally about you build all of that within. So it's like you go to the steakhouse, you have this great meal, you're full, you're satisfied, you feel great, and then the waiter comes over and they're like, oh, here's a creme brulee, the chef wanted to give it to you as a gift. That's the creme brulee is a right person. It's like unexpected, right. But you're like, oh, this is great, I love creme brulee, this is my favorite. I didn't even know I wanted it, but I'm not full, I'm full, so I don't need it. I'm grateful for it, but I'm dependent on it. And
I'm going to savor it, right?
Totally different energy than what we've been taught, which is, especially as women, you have to find a husband like that. It's like, that's always been, I don't know for you, but it was kind of like, pushed on.
Oh, it was.
From childhood.
Yeah.
Disney princesses always finding their prince and so on and so forth. And it was never about finding wholeness within first.
Well, and that's what calling in the one is about. It is becoming what it is that you want to call in. So my journey was becoming love. I knew I had to become it to call it in. And the thing is, love is the magic of the universe. You could want anything. Who cares? Let's not say it's a relationship. Let's say it is, a career or a home or whatever it may be. If you become love, all the magic starts there. So become love, because you can weave the universe to your bidding, whatever it is that you want, because the love of the universe wants to gift you everything that you desire. So start there. Become love. It's what the universe is made of. It's called Hest. It's in Kabbalah. That's how you draw things to you, is becoming love. Mm-hmm. Christopher, that's quite okay.
We get that response often.
Yeah, right.
Or I do, because I say inappropriate shit all the time. But yes, it's about that. It's literally about that's where people like with abundance, with money, is that a lot of people don't understand that your relationship with money is directly related to your relationship with love. That to me, they are very, very similar. That if you are in a space of love, then divine love, you'll start seeing abundance just flowing in. And that is something that a lot of people just seem to not understand. And I'm like, gosh, I didn't understand it for a while. I thought it was about, again, about worthiness and all of those things, that old programming, that old paradigm that was still running in my head. And when I shifted out of that space and began to understand that I didn't have to work my ass off to earn, I didn't have to be good enough, I didn't have, it wasn't about that. It was about opening up to receive. Everything changed. And it was just like abundance just started flowing in, and I'm like, cool, this is great. Like, money's coming in overnight when I'm sleeping. Like, I'm not mad about that at all. And that's literally has been part of the transformation, that becoming receptive and becoming a channel and open to that divine love actually opens up the doors to everything. As you're saying, it's prosperity, it's opportunities, it's just, you know, like that song by who is it? I don't remember, but it's like, you can have whatever you like. And literally, like, that's like the universe is just like, you can have whatever you like. What the only reason you don't have it yet is because you haven't asked for it. You haven't been clear about it. So if you want it, get into that love space. If you want to create that in your life and get into love, start doing your mission, start doing your work, being a force for love in the world, and that stuff will start coming to you. It may not come right away. You know, it may take a little bit of time, because you think about it, you plant a seed, it doesn't immediately grow. Sometimes time to gestate and to grow, and you have to have space for that. But understand that if you're putting it out there in love, in a divine way, that it's going to come back. Again, press, shake it, and run. You know, like the lower level shit too. So if, you know, again, be careful, always be careful about what we're putting out in the world, what seeds we're planting.
Yeah, you have to be consistent with the universe. What you think, what you speak, your actions, everything aligns. And when everything is aligning, then you get to choose and what you want to call in. And you can tell the universe, not this. I had to do that with the calling in the one, is that I knew that a man had to do with a certain thing. And I had one guy walk into my life that had that certain thing. And I was like, the vibration wasn't right. So I said, not this. And then a few months later, another man came into my life that had this certain thing. And the vibration was so much better. And I was like, but I was like, yeah, no, not this. And then Charles walked into my life and I said, yes, this. Yes. So it takes time. It took me a year and a half. You have to have everything consistent, and you have to be, you have to know exactly what it is that you want, and then you have to align your life with that. Just like if you want to be a doctor, you don't go to school to be an attorney. You align yourself with what you want and you do the work. You have to freaking do the work. We so often want to pay for psychics and astrologers to tell us what's going to happen in life. And I have an amazing psychic that I go to every 6 to 8 months. But the thing is, I don't use it and not do the work. I'm consistently doing the work. And that is why I'm in the position where I am today. And I am abundantly blessed beyond beyond my imagination. Right. I'm blessed. But everybody can have this. This is just, I can be an example to go, it can be done, but you got to do the work. Right. Do the work.
That's the thing, is that people are always like, you know, will this work? And I'm like, nothing works if you don't. You know, it's not, right. You can't, nobody's going to wave a magic wand and make it all happen for you. Like, you have to get down in the nitty gritty and do the work. It's funny because I do tarot readings. I actually had a client that contacted me earlier this week and wanted to, wondering if they should do another reading. And I was like, have you done what I told you to do the last time? And they were like, no. And I'm like, well, do that first and then let me know, because I'm not going to although I could keep taking your money, I'm not going to, because that's out of alignment with but do what Spirit has already told you to do, and then we can revisit this. And ironically, when they did the work, there was a follow-up that, oh, I don't really feel like I need it anymore because I'm clear. So it's interesting, but that's right. Is that we have to, again, going within and doing the work and unpacking our own stuff so that we can, like the Rumi quote, your task is not to seek love, it's to find all the barriers that prevent you from receiving love. That is the point of this journey. That is what it's all about. It's like the hokey pokey, right? That's what it's all about. It's literally about doing that work and getting within and allowing yourself to receive, get rid of all of the blocks, get rid of the limiting beliefs, the fears, the behaviors that would keep love from coming to you. Do that work. If you, I tell people all the time, if you just focus literally 90 days and did the work internally to and it eradicated those patterns, you would have the stuff that you want. It's just like, are you willing to do it?
Right.
You know, if you did any
And
workout routine and ate properly and did what your trainer told you to do for 90 days, you could change your whole body. But will you do it?
right.
And if you don't do it,
Right.
you're gonna have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's truly about taking that wheel and going, okay, I'm the co-creator of my life. This is what I want. This is a path to get there, and I'm going to do that. I had a woman like you. She had come to me for a reading, and I gave it to her, and she was seeing a married man.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, you got to stop it. You're not gonna bring in what you deserve in your life as long as you keep thinking that's your self-worth and that's all you deserve. Well, she wanted a reading about 6 months later, and I said, have you stopped seeing him? And she said, no. And I said, then I'm sorry. I can't take your money and give you a reading based on when you're not doing the work and you're not trying to clear out your life, because nothing's going to change.
Right.
And you can't change, because the divine wants love for you. It wants to give you everything you deserve. Stop looking in the garbage cans for this nugget, this treasure chest of gold. It's not there. It's not there. It's here. So start working within.
Right, absolutely. And and it's not like I mean, I'm not going to say it's not a ton of work, because it does require effort. It does require intention. It does require doing the work. But when we're talking about it, it's like, you know, journaling every day and meditating and reflecting. It's not laborious necessarily. You know, it's literally just creating the space and allowing yourself to do the work to rewire these mental patterns,
right.
increase self-worth and increase your self-love, and treat yourself the way that you want someone else to treat you. It's like, if you want someone that's going to treat you kindly and with patience, like I always, you've heard me say this before, that it's like, whenever I have an interaction with someone where I feel some, you know, off about it, I'm like, well, what is telling me about me? In what ways, you know, if this person is being disrespectful, in what ways have I been disrespectful to me? If this person is being this way, well, in what ways have I? Because it's so easy to just look out there at the world and other people and other situations. It's much, the work is actually looking within and saying like, well, what am I putting out there that I'm bringing this back? Or what does it say about me that this is acceptable behavior? That is the work. And creating this in your life for the divine love that you want to create. It's like, again, I say this all the time with people. It's like, if you want to attract a partner into your life, you got to do stuff like clean out your closet. Make sure that there's room. That what, you know, if he or she showed up today on your doorstep and they're like, I'm your divine love and I'm here and I'm ready. Are you ready for them? Are you? Internally, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, is your house ready? Is your life ready? If it's not, then that's the work. That's how you create this. That's how you attract that in. So it's like, I told you, I've probably said this before on these videos, but like, I have a nightstand on the side of the bed that I don't sleep in that's empty. And it's there intentionally empty, because I'm like, I know what I want to bring into my life. There's space in my closet that's empty, and it's like, I certainly could fill it up with my own clothes, but very consciously not doing that, because I'm like, I want to have the space for someone to come in. And if I haven't created the space in my house, in my mind, in my heart, in my physical reality, it's not going to come in.
Right. So, and it also, in your preconceived thought pattern of how it should look, let go of that too. Let go. You have to get out of your head. It is surrender. And Candace and I talked about it in my last video. It is surrender. It's complete surrender to divine love. Surrender to it and how it forms and how it shows up. And like you, I bought a nightstand as well for the other side of my bed, because I wanted to be ready. And now it's filled. Now it's filled.
Definitely. It's literally about consciously co-creating what you want to have happen. So you've heard me talk about this before, about being in that energy, getting into that energy space regardless of what is happening around you. So it's like, if you want a passionate relationship, can you stay in passion on your own? without having that, because if your passion is dependent on another person in your life, then that is not divine love. That's, again, we could kind of lower vibe, codependent kind of thing. It's more about, can you create that passion? Can you find ways to create and stoke those fires of passion in your life without somebody
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Not dependent on.
It's about having a relationship with yourself, taking yourself out on dates,
Heck yeah.
doing, pampering yourself. It is about it's not about lack, folks. It is not about lack.
No.
It is about abundance.
And creating a life that you love, that you'd be like, oh, this is great. And someone else to share in this life that I love, that's wonderful. And that's what it's, that, again, that's what it's about. It's, yes, go out on dates with yourself. Take yourself out and do nice things. You don't just dress up because you're going on a date. Get dressed up and put lipstick on, whatever, just because you freaking feel like it. Because you like the way that you feel when you do it. Sunbathe if that's what feels good to you. Get whatever, but create those feelings of abundance and love within yourself, so that you can give it out, first of all, because because to me it's not about it's about being like a vessel. So it's like bringing this love in and letting it flow through. It's bringing it in, letting it flow through. So it's like even something as simple as divine love. We're talking about relationships, like intimate relationships or connections, but divine love can literally be something like speaking kind words to the cashier at the market.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
And giving them just an infusion of love, because that everybody is a little bit love starved in this society, and just speaking kindness to them, saying thank you. I really like your hair, or you put this together really, whatever. It's just give it out. Like, love is not like pie. It's not like once you take a slice and you give it here that it's gone. It's abundant. It's overflowing all the time. And once we understand that, then it's, again, whatever's going on in your circumstance doesn't matter anymore, because you understand that, like, okay, well, if this person or this situation is no longer a source of love, that's cool. I can just go over here and get that. So I'm not doing anything.
Right. That's great. That is so good. So Lisa, how can people get in contact with you to work with you on a one-on-one?
Well, first of all, through here on Facebook. If you send me a message, it might take me a while because I deleted Messenger from my phone. It's just too much. But I also have a YouTube channel, so it's The Love Revolution with Dr. V. You can go check that out. Let's see, what else? Yeah, those are the two best ways. Follow me on Instagram. It's okay. I make no guarantees. There's sometimes shenanigans over there, so.
Yeah. By the way, I saw your post today that you posted about you know what I'm talking about. If you want to have a good laugh, go follow her on Instagram.
I'm telling you. Yeah, but that conversation came out with I went to have Mother's Day brunch with a girlfriend, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about the power of co-creating your reality. And I said, on this new moon, I'm just going to submit my order to the universe, because it's like, I know what a powerful manifestor and creator I am. And so I'm like, I'm just submitting it to the universe, and that's what I'm doing. And so I literally did a manifestation ceremony yesterday. And that was part of it. Like, I did like the wish paper, I meditated, all of it. And then I was like, I got to share this with my people, because you guys have to understand that, like, I don't just talk about it. Like, I walk this thing out. Like, it's a thing. It's a daily practice of walking it out. And so I shared that with Jessica. And then I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there in the universe, because
you had to. That was, when I read that, I just cracked up laughing, but I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. So seriously, go follow her on Instagram. You will laugh your ass off as you're inspired.
It's period Lisa Vallejos on Instagram. I'll post the link below. But it's seriously like, this is not, I know maybe it sounds like when we're talking about doing the work, that it sounds like it could be, it's not work, it's fun. It's challenging.
It's a blessing.
Wrong. It can be challenging at times, like facing your dark side and learning to dance with your shadow. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It does take effort. It does take consciousness and willingness to sit in the fire, and in that refiner's fire, where every impurity gets pulled out of you. That's not necessarily a painless process, But it's so worth it. It's so worth it to be able to be in a space of feeling grounded no matter what's happening in your life, and being able to access your emotions but not let them control you, and all of those things. It's a gift. And it's not only a gift to yourself, but it's a gift to people around you. I look at my children and I look at how conscious and how capable they are at navigating their emotions. And I watch my son, he's 11. I've watched him literally go through very painful and scary experiences that he's managed simply by learning because he knows how to go within and to get into his own mindfulness space and manage things by breathing. And I'm like, like, that is amazing. That's amazing.
That's amazing
To see. And so again, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about Trisha, it's not about all of those other things. It's literally about transforming the self in service to others.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It's not about us. And we can just say, hey, this is the way that I did it. You can do it by following our example.
Yeah,
that's what we're saying.
In there. Like, you always want to follow someone that's been there. Follow someone that has walked the path and has done the work, because that they can, the best person that can. I always think about this in terms of the Bible, and I know we're about out of time, but it's that when it's like Jesus died, and then it's like he went to hell and he took the keys. And right. And I always think about that, like, because he ascended and then he went to hell and he took the keys to death and the grave. And I think in order for Jesus to take the keys to death and the grave, he first had to encounter death in the grave. That was how he overcame it.
Right.
And so always listen to teachers who have been there and experienced that. Some women that still have the fire of the scent of hell on us, because we know how to lead you out.
Right. Exactly. Let our fire lead your way. Right. Follow us.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well,
all right, Lisa. Well, I'm so glad we had this topic today. It was such a great topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, go follow her on Instagram. Touch base with her. She does coaching. She does tarot card readings. She can help to transform your life. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.